Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. I'm here today with a United superfan in the shape of Brett. He's joined us live. It's an honour and a privilege to have him on the show. And we know this isn't being posted live to Facebook, unfortunately. Facebook is down at the moment, but we do hope you'll be able to, or you'll be watching this back a little bit later on if you didn't catch us live. Brett, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I am fine, thank you very much, and nice to be on. I'm a regular viewer of Follow Everton, so it's nice to be participating in your show. Thanks for having me on.
It's quite funny, really, you say that. As a United fan, the rivalry isn't quite as big as other teams or other fans around the country might think between the two clubs. It's kind of more like a friendly rivalry, fueled and stemmed by shared values and a mutual hatred of the red side of Merseyside. Would you say?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I think that there is several factors there. I think first and foremost, there's been a lot of players bought and sold by the two clubs over the years.
Don't
But
remind us.
without a shadow of without a shadow, well, Fellaini did his bit for both sides.
True.
But I think you're absolutely hit it on the head. There's that mutual hatred for Liverpool, and it is a hatred. There is a real dislike. It goes back a long time. There's a lot about it. Local rivalries aside. But yeah, I think generally, apart from the odd idiot, you'll find United and Everton fans get on well, and I think that will long continue as well.
Not really much fighting at Old Trafford. It's certainly you don't see that between Everton and.
Are you talking about on the pitch?
Yeah,
From the
no,
United
I'm not
place?
talking
There
about on the
wasn't
pitch
much
just
fight
yet.
there.
I mean, yeah,
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, football, the hooliganism of the past, luckily has largely gone. You'll always get some trouble, I think, anywhere. But no, I mean, I was there early and got a quick getaway at the end. I certainly didn't see any issues, and I wouldn't expect them either. United, you generally find there'll be trouble with Liverpool, Leeds, and City predominantly. But no, I wouldn't expect there'd be issues with Everton.
So let's talk about the game. So I was sat obviously in the way, and I had a really good view, and I hadn't been to Old Trafford before, so it was really nice to be there. And you do kind of think, wow, as soon as you step up, it's very different to Goodison in the fact that it's just the sheer volume of the amount of people there. And nothing against Goodison Park, obviously it's an amazing ground, but United Stadium's very, very different. Lots of banners, lots of things going on in the stadium. But in terms of on the pitch, it was United who started off the better side, wasn't it? That first 10 minutes particularly, Everton looked really shaky, and it was almost like they couldn't string two passes together. Do you think there was a lot of nerves there for Everton, and United obviously being at home with that full stadium, feel really comfortable and relaxed? But it did kind of slip away fairly quickly, that early dominance.
I think United's results haven't been good of the last few weeks, and I think there was a pressure to go out there early and start very well, start at a fast pace, and try to get an early goal or certainly create a few chances. And I think that played out in the first 10 minutes. It didn't take too long for. I don't think it was necessarily that United then went bad very quickly. I think Everton's nerves settled. I think you got a good handle on the game. You started to get some possession, put a few passes together. And then, throughout the rest of the half, then both sides had a couple of chances. I think Everton, from the 10th minute through to half time, obviously the goal was just before half time, the United goal. But I think Everton were pretty stable. I don't think United caused too much trouble, really. And you could see, I remember talking to a few United fans at half time and saying, look, 1-0 is it's great to go in at half time with the lead. But Everton look like they will get some chances in the second half, and we need to build on what we have achieved in the first half, and we need to come out there and try and get a second as quickly as possible. Obviously, it never happened. It was interesting that the substitutions with Ronaldo and Pogba coming on prior to the equaliser. I think it was after 55 minutes, and the equaliser after 65, if I've got my timing's right. I mean, we could go into a lot of detail, and I don't know whether you want to or not, about United's team selection, the issues at the moment, the question marks that persist over the manager. I'm sure. Well, I don't know how much you want to talk about United, how much you want to talk about Everton, but ultimately, there was an element of nervousness at half time amongst the United fans. It was great to go with the lead. But we'd seen the home form, and here we go again. United have an all-time record in Premier League history with away games unbeaten. It's 30 odd, I think it is. It's quite remarkable. I think it goes back to pre-lockdown, pre-March 2020. The home form has been absolutely abysmal in comparative terms, and particularly as you expect your team are going to be picking up more points at home.
So can I ask,
we had last season at home have carried on this year.
Is that a change in the style of play, or a change in the mentality, perhaps, from away to those away performances? Maybe there's less pressure away from home.
It's a combination. A lot of teams that didn't play well at home last season, it was easy to throw the lack of fans, lack of atmosphere. I know that Liverpool certainly did it when they had to get in a dig there when they lost back to back. I think they lost about five out of 6 games last season. I know that both of us, that we were delighted with that. But that was last season. This season's very different, and it's continued. And I think there is United seem to set up at home relatively similar to away from home. There's always 2 defensive midfielders in there, quite compact, and it tends to work more when you're away from home and you're playing on the counter attack. When teams come to Old Trafford, they set up very differently, and it almost feels like United don't seem to be able to respond to that. There's a lot of backwards play, there's a lot of sideways passes, and the forward passes that are created don't seem to have, where's
no penetration, really.
Penetration, movement, pace. It's not there. And I think in part, if you think about it, we've got the 4 at the back. We've then got 2 sitting in front of them. So normally that's, we call them Fred. That's McTominay and Fred. Fred had a mixed game. He did some good things, and then he did some abysmal things. Obviously, he was probably the most guilty for the goal. The fact of the matter is that you've then got all this fabulous attacking talent, but great teams and successful teams always have a very, very strong defensive midfielder. And the successful United teams, Roy Keane was obviously in there for many years. You have a look at Vieira at Arsenal in their dominant days. You have a look at Yaya Toure at City. United don't have that, and it's such a crucial position. And when you don't have that, it's the ability to support the defence and have the dominance to get forward and start give the attack, release the attack, really. I'm not saying that's the only issue, but it is a big issue. And question marks remain. We spent about £52 million on Fred.
It's expensive.
Point in there. If it was 5.2 million, it would be too much money. And United fans are very frustrated with him, but even more frustrated probably. I think he was there before, Ollie. I think Jose brought him in, but
can I just say also, you did sign Matic as well from Chelsea. You're not talking about players who are inexperienced defensive midfielders. You've had options in there, and it's difficult to make too many changes in one window. You brought in the summer Ronaldo. You brought in various other players, Sancho. You can't necessarily address everything. You can't necessarily address everything in one window. And what I'd say to you is,
sorry, go on.
Look at the players you had on the bench, and look at the first 11 now. To the outside, it's a strong first 11 and a very strong bench. And you look at Everton's bench, and it was a bunch of kids and 2 goalkeepers. So let's have some perspective on the events in this game. A 1-1 draw. Man United spending billions and having a plethora of riches, and Everton really down to the shoestrings. You'd expect United to they should put them to the sword. But it almost seems like there's some tactical deficiencies there from the manager. The reason I say that was because he failed to identify the way that Everton pressed. Every time United shifted the ball out wide to the flanks, there was always the fullback, the winger, and one of the central midfielders coming across to prevent Man United really from playing through the flanks. And then in the middle, it was very, very compact with the two central defenders and the two defensive midfielders. So I think he's really failed to find a tactical solution to that, maybe moving the ball quicker, or I just think trying to suck Everton out maybe a little bit to create more space. It felt like there were some tactical deficiencies there from him. And it's sometimes it's like you've got all the perfect players on the chessboard, but you're maybe missing the queen. And you need that final piece, really, to have total dominance over. So my question to you, and this brings me to a comment from this gentleman here who's saying Ole out, Zidane in. What would your answer be to this chap here? Would you tend to agree with him?
I'll just go back a point before I answer that one. We were talking about the you can't bring all the players in one window. There's only so much you can do. I think the first things first is that it was identified, and Rice at West Ham was one strongly linked player. But it was very evident to see United needed to strengthen in that position. Sancho, £72 million. He needs time. He definitely needs time. He's 21 years old. He's not started well.
But look at Damari Gray. 25 years of age, 1.7 million.
Absolutely. But 25 years age, established, Premier League history, knows the league. And I think Sancho will need time for that. But ultimately, and then obviously Ronaldo came in, and again, there's no doubt that he's still an exceptional player, but a very different player to what he was, as you would expect. He's 37 in February. Most players have put their feet up and long retired. He's going at it as hard as he ever was.
Should he be starting every game?
He shouldn't. It all depends if he is fit enough and he is able enough and is recovering very quickly. Why not? You don't necessarily look at the age. You have to look at the condition of the player. You can have 25-year-olds that can't really start every game. They're carrying injuries or whatever it may be. Moving on to, and the reason why I just gave that bit of context there is it then comes on to, should Ole be on his way? What I would say there is when he came in, that we had a very unhappy dressing room with Jose, and although we finished second the season before, it followed the traditional pattern of Jose losing the squad, people not happy to play for him, and so when Ole came in, there was a euphoria. I think you could see it in our results because we couldn't win a game, and all of a sudden we won 12.
Rejuvenated, yeah, very rejuvenated.
Totally rejuvenated, but it was really short term because we started then. Well, towards the end of the season, then we ended up back where we were. Look, Guardiola, Barcelona legend, took the managerial position, unprecedented success. Zidane at Madrid. Former player comes in and wins all these European Cups. Interesting for United fans. Ole came in. United fans were absolutely delighted. But he was announced coming in till the end of the season. Steady the ship, bring the players, bring the dressing room back, create some unity, and then a manager of the calibre and the success. Bear in mind, he failed at Cardiff City and he was plying his trade in the Norwegian league. Hardly, a proven successful manager of a top division. I think he actually got relegated with Cardiff. So, by the end of it, then he got made permanent, and you kind of looked and went, okay, maybe see what happens next year. He's now coming up to 3 years in the job. and
with
he's
a
done
second
some good.
place finish, might I add? I'm sure.
Yeah, second place finish last year, which was good considering how superb City were. Now that United have spent similar amounts to City over the last 5 years, but look really at the difference. The difference in on paper quality may be comparable, but what Pep has done with City, how he's developed the players, how he's brought an incredible dynamic. You have a look at them on the pitch and the tactics, what they do, how they're able to switch it. United,
but they're only bringing in 1 or 2 players a season, Man City,
because they've got a stable squad. And therefore, when you've got a stable squad, Fergie used to do it year in, year out. He got to the end of the season, he slung 1 or 2 of them out, because that is what he did when he felt players were no longer either committed or good enough. They went and he bought
Johnny Evans.
average summer. On an average, it wasn't always. He didn't always get it.
Wes Brown, Johnny Evans.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was Louis van Gaal that got rid of Johnny Evans. Anyway, you can do that because what you need to do is you need to then tweak. You need to just you've got the core squad right, and you just need to enhance that. United haven't really had it. Yeah, a couple of second place finishes since Fergie stepped down, but truly, looking like series title contenders. And I think what's happened, it's very early in the season, admittedly, but United finished second last year. Varane was seen to be a superb signing. He's won 4 European Cups with Madrid. Sancho is a very, very exciting youngster. 21 years old. He's done phenomenal in the Bundesliga with Dortmund. And then the euphoria of Ronaldo coming back, 5-time Ballon d'Or winner, record international goal scorer. He really has won everything. And he was an idol when he was at United from his debut against Bolton back in August 2003. We had 6 years with him before he moved on and had his success. 9 years at Madrid and 3 years at Juve.
2008,
2009 he went to
2009.
He wanted to go in 2008, but Fergie managed to negotiate an extra year with us when we were hoping to beat Barcelona for a second successive European Cup, but we got beaten in the final. And then anyway, so we're not quite in Barcelona's predicament.
I need to shift you along.
So Ole in or Ole out? I think you will now find the vast majority of United supporters, and I'm going to now keep this very, very short because I've waffled on about something else. Club legend. Won us the European Cup, or the winning goal in the European Cup back in '99, has brought unity to the squad, has made generally positive quality signings, and then comes the big but it does not is not good enough in terms of his tactics, his style, his ability to change things around. Nowhere near. You have a look at what Tuchel has done at Chelsea in a real short amount of time. So I think you will find with regret a lot of. I'm not saying all.
You sound like Alan Sugar.
Say give him time. Well, with regret, is
That's
Ole
exactly what you're doing.
You've got everything. You've got absolutely everything, but it's with regret.
I don't think the board are going to rush to get rid of him. In part because Sir Alex is on the board. He was very influential in bringing him in, and he more than anyone will, given he was so close to the top back in 1990. Ultimately, the view is that managers should have time. When Moyes came in from Everton after all those years, where he'd done a very, very good, solid job. He came in, he didn't even get the full season. Now, that was now a long time ago. But interestingly, we are 8 years from since Fergie's retirement, just over 8 years. We're on our 4th manager. There are serious question marks over that 4th manager. How much chopping and changing can you do? And I'll go back to what you said about the top teams, 2 changes in a summer, 3 changes in a summer. And in part, that's because you've got a stable manager. Look at Guardiola. He's been there now for 5 years. He's in his 6th year.
It's called an evolution of a plan.
Absolutely.
I would say that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he was not exactly successful at Cardiff. Yeah, I
OGS was
mean,
not successful at Cardiff.
he was not successful at
Took him
Cardiff, and
down.
I don't think he had the credentials to be the United manager, other than the fact he's a club legend. You know, if he wasn't a club legend, he wouldn't simply be the Man United manager. And I think,
Absolutely.
you know, second place last season, if you look at the overall standard of the league last season, I thought it was really poor. Amongst the cloth. So yeah, second place, fantastic on paper, but look at the performance of everyone else. The way Everton tailed away from 10th and finished, failed away from the top four, and slumped into 10th. The way Liverpool, you know, went from winning every game to losing 6 at home. And you look at the standard and think it probably wasn't the best season to have done that in. This season, though, just going back to the game, I think that the way he left the players on the bench.
I'm glad we're going
Yeah,
back
I have to nudge you back onto the game.
To say a thing or two about
I have to nudge you, and I have to
performance on Saturday.
I've got to nudge you. I've got to nudge you back onto the game. But I just think that the team selection, was that the right thing to do? Really, to leave those 4 on the bench first and foremost.
My view has always been that you go into a football game and you start with your best team, assuming they're all fit and available, of course, and you try to get to a commanding position as early in the game as you're able to do. That then enables you, you're 2-0 up with 60 minutes gone, and you're pretty solid. You then make some changes. What a lot of the managers are doing is, you know, Ollie's not the only one, is you've got these massive squads now. You've got these players that want to play football. You're paying them a lot of money, and so you make changes. And on paper, yeah, it makes sense. It's logical to do that. I think the biggest issue is you weren't talking about a United team in form who were securing results. The last few have been really, really poor. I won't go into a massive amount of detail, but we were very lucky to win at home against Villarreal 3 days earlier. We were poor for the majority of the game. Before that, we lost at home to Villa 1-0 on the Saturday before. And prior to that, admittedly, with a second 11, but it's meant to be a squad game these days. We got dumped out the League Cup by West Ham. So we go into this Everton game before the international break. It's only 6 games in, but we're there or thereabout at the top of the league, despite the Villa defeat. And then he doesn't go and make one change. You know, Pogba's been pretty good.
I need to push you for an answer.
What's the question? Should he have?
You can't spend 5 minutes on every question. I've got to nudge you. Otherwise, we'll be sat for 2 hours.
I'll be here all night. I've got so much to say.
Was he right to start? Was he right to drop them?
He wasn't right to drop all of them. If it made a change, you make a change. Do
you think it showed a lack of disrespect? A lack of respect for Everton?
Before the game, I said to a couple of guys and girls who were sat around me that he's done this, or I think he's done this, because Everton are missing quite a few players. And if you had Calvert-Lewin and if you had Richarlison and the like, then he wouldn't have done that. So, and I wouldn't necessarily use the word disrespect. I think he possibly looked at it and thought, well, I don't necessarily need to start with my best team. And that's why he made his substitutions quite early. After 55 minutes, we were still winning.
He realised that he was,
and I think he realised, this wasn't how he had thought it to go, and therefore he was making those changes.
Yeah, he thought it'd be like pre-season.
But the fact of the matter is, it was very evident that you were looking solid, you were looking compact, and your summer signings, both Gray and Townsend, Gray particularly, very impressive. It just goes to show, because I remember, in having watched follow Everton, there was a lot of question marks over them. It's not just about talent, it's about attitude, it's about belief. They've come in, they've done a good job. There was a lot of question marks, a lot of problems with you sign these world-renowned players. Who'd have thought that James, who had been at Real Madrid,
well, we've got one in prison and one who's in Dubai, so.
And look at how, and of course, let's take a minute. We started off by talking about our unified hatred for Liverpool. Rafa's come in. Yes, it's early days. Yes, there was a lot of debate because of the fact that he had been Liverpool manager for a number of years. But what he has done, and this is possibly a great way of showing the difference between Everton and United at the moment, is that I wouldn't say he's overachieving. He's got a talented squad, but he's getting things right. He's very much. I mean, obviously
he seems very tactically astute. Yeah,
Ancelotti's loss to Madrid was a shame at the time for Everton. There's no reason why Rafa can't do very well in that job. He's proven he knows what he's doing. I thought, we talked about the first 10 minutes. You were shaking the first 10 minutes. From minute 11 on, you were then at times.
I'm waiting to get onto the next 10 minutes.
that'll be on the next episode.
We'll have to split that up. No, Brett, in all seriousness, through fear of time, I need to quickly get through the questions that I've got for you. Is that okay? You're smiling.
I'm going to give 6-word answers now. Do some quick fire questions.
Well, okay. So I just want to say to you, Paul Pogba, do you think there's an attitude problem with a lot of those names on the bench?
Yes. Yeah. Attitude problem. I don't know whether it's attitude, but there's certainly
big wages.
In Pogba's case, there's two. Yeah, it's the egos. There's too many egos there. Of I want to be the star of the show. You'll be the star of the show. I tell you the difference with Fernandes is he is the star of the show because he is not ego driven. He just wants to be the best and play the best. To a degree, Ronaldo, but he's at such another level in what he's achieved over time. Pogba, he's either world class or is completely not in the game, and you just can't have that. You can't achieve, you can't win things. They need to be winning every single week.
Will saying 600 later.
600 words. I was going to stop at 10. I won't be invited back on. Next.
No, we'll have you back on. No, but in seriousness, though, I thought Man United, obviously, in that for the first 10 minutes, in total control, and then it was Everton who kind of took over, and they had chances, but the way United chances were really strong. There was a Cavani header that Michael Keane kind of leaves him for dead, caught in two minds as to whether to mark him or I think there was another player and Mina leaves him. And Cavani really should score there and marked. It's a good save from Jordan Pickford, you'd say.
I think the only reason why I didn't score that header was the angle it came in and the pace on it. I just think it
catch you by surprise.
Just quite a difficult header to put it in the back of the net. So I think he did reasonably well with the header. It was on target, but I wouldn't necessarily have expected him. Sometimes they go in, but it was more difficult to convert and put it in the back of the net than maybe it looked.
That was really the United main chance of the first half, apart from the one at the back post, I think, narrowly headed over. There were two headed opportunities. Through a little bit of Everton, kind of just not marking, not picking up the players. And that was United's game plan, really, to try and hit Everton down the flanks, try and cross the ball in and catch us out. And I think Everton, the way they managed to shift players across to the flanks and press, prevented United in the main from doing that. And I think after the first 15 minutes, the rest of the half, Everton had a good opportunity. Rondon taking a touch up onto his knee and then really hitting it. And it's a good block from United, but you'd expect better. Doucouré with a chance coming late into the box, and there was chances for Gray and Townsend. There was quite a few there, at least 4 or 5, and you'd say somewhere between a half chance and a clear-cut chance. And you'd say arguably Everton at that point should take the lead until that goal, and it's a very good turn from Bruno Fernandes, and he leaves everyone for dead, chips the ball over, and Martial, who doesn't turn up 1 week to the next. He only knows when Everton versus United is. I can think of at least 3 or 4 occasions when he scored against us, including that 2012 semi-final, the FA Cup. So he's a player who doesn't turn up 1 week from the next, but there you go with his customary goal. He did well, didn't he, just to get the ball on target. I mean, it wasn't the best strike. It was deflected and beat Pickford. It was kind of straight at him. But there's a little bit of United, the expectation there. They were expecting to go 1-0. And you'd probably say it was slightly against the run of play. And to go in at half-time, you'd be happy with the 1-0.
And I think that probably is why I said earlier there was a nervousness, because 1-0 is a dangerous score. We were not the better team in the first half. And here all of a sudden, we were sat there. We didn't think we were going to get opportunities. We didn't think we were really going to have chances.
You never really looked like scoring, in fairness.
The ball's in the back of the net, and you think, this is a bit weird, especially as it had come from Martial, who hadn't scored a goal for about 30 games. Talented lad that's just gone off the boil, and things have gone very wrong there. But yeah, and that was half time. That's football, and interesting that Ollie didn't make the changes at half time. We waited 10 more minutes because I think he wanted to see how would United go out in the second half. Would they start on top and then cue the changes after 55?
Well, I think what happened was he probably wanted to just give them more of an opportunity, as you say. He'd rested them, so he'd rested those players, and I think he'd looked like a bit of a mug at half time if he's bringing on 3 players and kind of admitting that he'd made a mistake. But it was
his objective is for United to win that football game. So as a manager, you need to overcome, and if you've made a mistake, if you've got it wrong, you need to correct it. So argument could say maybe you should have at half time have made those 3 changes and gone, this is not where I thought would be at half time.
And that substitution, they came really quickly, but in fairness, Man United came out and they were looking sharp. They moved the ball with a little bit more purpose and a little bit more pace, but it was very much a side-to-side interrogation. There wasn't an awful lot of penetration, and I think young Ben Godfrey, who was out of position at right back, done remarkably well. And I think it was a case of just trying to shuffle Everton out of shape, and the opportunities didn't seem to come in the second half at all. I can't recall a single chance really, apart from Ronaldo at the end. So what happened was United brought on the substitutes fairly quickly. And do you think that was the right decision to make those changes at that point in the game?
Yeah, I think really that things needed to change a bit. We were just looking a bit too sloppy, and I think the thought was get these guys on. It should hopefully stabilise us and allow us to build some momentum. It didn't really happen. Sancho had a better game. I wouldn't say it was exceptional by any means, but better than he'd been previously. Ronaldo didn't really receive the ball, and Pogba seemed to just swan around like, he didn't really get a grip and a handle.
He's infuriating, isn't he, Paul Pogba? I think there's a few like that in Man United shirts. Unfortunately,
there's too many. One's too many, and there is a few of that ilk. Without going into
luxury players,
as you said a few minutes ago, I think Everton kept the shape really well. They stood firm. It's very easy to say, well, United did not use the width or they didn't beat the man, but that was because it was very difficult to do so.
They didn't really do that. You're right though, Brett. There wasn't really United players. They didn't take anyone on. There wasn't really any decent skill. There wasn't anything inventive about their play. It was all kind of very mundane and boring.
Greenwood got the ball a lot, and quite often he'll try and cut inside. He'll take he's got a fabulous shot. So left foot, right foot. He'll kind of cut in, try and get a bit of space from the man and have a pop. He didn't really have the opportunity to do that, and I think that's because
he was a bit wooden.
He just wasn't able to get the better of the Everton defence.
It was more the position of Andros Townsend as well in there off that side, just meaning he'd run into another body. They did make it difficult for United, and that really was the game plan to suck United in. And look, we were missing Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, and with respect to United, I think with the way they played, I think Everton with those 2 forwards on could have been 1 or 2 or possibly 3 goals up. It was that poor, in my opinion, from United, and that sort of period, the first half of the second half, after a brief United sort of raise in tempo, it kind of dropped again. And I think the substitutions, what they did was they left United very vulnerable and exposed. They don't want to dig in and do the dirty work. They all want to score, and I noticed a lot of the time there was 4, 5, 6 players on the last line of the Everton defence. And then it was almost like one wrong pass from a Man United player, and Everton were on it. And there were a few opportunities.
The longer the game went on, the more that Everton were able to break up the play and win the ball. They got better and better and better at it. United started panicking, that there was terribly bad misplaced passes, very, very straightforward passes that went out. There was so United fans are starting to get nervous. The atmosphere I thought was good, but there was lots of moans, there was lots of groans.
Interesting you say that, yeah.
There was worry and concern. Obviously, then the goal came, and it was quite funny, because when I say funny, it wasn't really. When the ball went in, and we thought Everton were going away with a famous win. Obviously,
no, I don't want to. We'll save that. Can I just ask you about the Andros Townsend goal, though, from your own corner? I mean, that was embarrassing. And the ball comes over to Damari Gray, who's, he was shipped out from Leicester to Bayer Leverkusen, and we picked him up on a very nominal transfer, and he's looking outstanding. And he bullies Fred, runs past another, and Doucouré, neat piece of skill. It was a perfect counter-attacking goal from an Everton perspective, and Townsend never looked like scoring, never looked like missing. Sorry, you've got a goalkeeper who looks like a statue. Didn't move an inch. It was never in doubt he was going to finish that. And from a United perspective, a few opportunities maybe for a tactical foul, certainly on Damari Gray, certainly on Doucouré. I think once it goes to Townsend, the keeper doesn't do anything really to put him off or make him make his mind up. It was almost too easy.
Yeah, I mean, from an Everton perspective, it was a great counter attack. It went from a United corner to past David De Gea in 15, 20 seconds, whatever it was. That was great. I think from United's perspective, it should never have happened, because you've got giving the ball away. You've got Fred then, who's got two chances to stop the attack. Bear in mind, at this
pick up a foul, just take him down.
Most of the United players are in the view that they were attacking, that they were going to try and get a chance, try and get a goal,
get the second goal.
So then absolutely, a lot of criticism over Fred, who's not strong enough, being one of his criticisms, doesn't take the man down, and all of a sudden then you could see it happening, because what happens? You have two types of defenders. You've got those that go to the man and those that back off. And the whole of the United back line were backing.
They don't engage.
Towards them. Luke Shaw was God knows where, nowhere.
Caught well out of position, of course.
Anywhere near. And therefore, as soon as he got away from Fred, there was a good opportunity. We were just screaming, "Go to the man!" It was almost the only way that the inevitable was going to be stopped. And backed away. All you're doing is allowing them to move into that acres of space.
In fairness, though, he did engage with Fred. He got out pushed. They did engage with Doucouré. They didn't get a foot in. And it was Wan-Bissaka chasing back, and he just doesn't see Man United level for me. I think he's the weak link, probably, in that sort of defence. Can't cross a ball. He can't beat a man. I don't think he's a Man United player.
Who are we talking about? Sorry,
Wan-Bissaka.
Difficult one. He's taken a lot of criticism. He does some things very well.
It's a half-assed attempt to stop the goal.
Yeah.
And at 1-1, you must have been fearing the worst there, because Everton were like a pack of wolves.
At 1-1, was it after 65 minutes the equaliser?
Yes, 65 minutes.
Right. So we're looking and we're thinking 25 minutes. We're now going to up the game. We're going to up the tempo, because the tempo was poor. The movement, the decision making, it had all been too slow. It had all been too predictable. So we were sat there thinking, right, it's 1-1, but it's not the 85th minute. We've got loads of time. We've got Pogba on. We've got Sancho on. We've got Ronaldo on. Yes, we were worried, but no, we weren't panicking, because we thought we'll come back. It never really happened. I think there was a bit more conviction. Sancho had a few runs. But there was
targeting the wings.
There was too many of them that were nervy. And actually, as time went on, the decision making, the passing got worse. I mean, there were some shockers. We couldn't play 5-yard passes in some.
It was desperate for you.
It was all of them. So it was more about shit. Are we going to be able to hold on here? Because what happens if Everton come forward again? They've shown that they've got greater strength, the pace, the movement. So I think we were more concerned about not losing the game than we were about truly having the belief that we were able to go win the game,
In
especially
fairness,
the longer that went on.
I thought you were fully in control after the goal for Everton. I thought that United were dominant for sort of a 15-20 minute period where they were comfortable in possession, and they were probing, shall we say, without really putting Everton under any serious pressure, without Pickford having to make a save of note. They were very much straight at him, a couple of opportunities, very comfortable for him, and Everton felt comfortable. And in the away end, there wasn't really the nerves there. It was almost like Everton were waiting for United to make a mistake to pounce. And the Ronaldo who comes on, he's a different player. You know, he seeks space and time. He hasn't quite got that speed, but he's still, streets ahead in terms of his footballing brain. Not his best showing though, really. And he did have a good chance, an opportunity, his left foot, and it was a shot come cross. But from United, there wasn't really anything else in that half. And you think you must have been pulling your hair out thinking, well, where's the goal coming from?
There's been a lot in the media about Ronaldo talking to Ollie about the tactics and about the fact that they're not reacting to his signing. They're not moving fast enough. They're not allowing him to get into the space. They're not playing the quick ball in. And that doesn't suit Ronaldo. So although he scored 5 goals in 7 games, I think it is. Although
he's disappointed he hasn't got 55.
He's disappointed. He's frustrated. He didn't sign for United to come second, third, fourth, or even out of the Champions League places. So it's not going. The reaction, the way he reacted when he scored the 95th minute winner against Villarreal, when he took his shirt off and flung it, he was absolutely, because he was worried. He's come to United. He wants to win the Champions League. He wants United and United fans to think we can win the Champions League. The fact of the matter is, we were almost 2 games in. Last year we got dumped out in a poor group. This year's even worse. We've got Atalanta, Young Boys, and Villarreal. First game we go to Young Boys away in Switzerland, and we got defeated. We got beaten. So this was a really important game that we got the win, and we did. But I think it's ridiculous to think that United have a chance of winning the Champions League this season. And Ronaldo didn't sign for United to get dumped out of the group stage and go and play in the Europa League.
Do you think he signed for the £700,000 per week?
Maybe, partly. Yeah, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is he's a very, very wealthy footballer, not just from his football, from all his endorsements. He's coming to the end of his career. God knows what his net worth is. He likes his Lamborghinis. Wouldn't you? Can I just say, I'm low on battery. Can I take 60 seconds to get my charger, or are we coming to a swift end?
We will be coming to an end. I want to ask you,
have the viewers had enough? Because I
don't know if they skip through the first 20 minutes.
I've got about 5 minutes of battery.
That's all right. No, I just want to very quickly ask you about the goal at the end for Tom Davies. The United fans will be searching for reactions to the game, and reviews will come across this hopefully, and be enthralled by the fact there's an Everton and a United fan on here. So if you're watching, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. We'll get back on for another video soon. But this chance here, Ronaldo leaves Tom Davies. He kind of thinks there's a counter-attack on, but United couldn't play out. And Tom Davies is in acres of space and time. And really, I don't know if you've seen it back, but he could have took a touch. Yeah, the keeper was ready to be sat down. Do you think that was a massive, massive missed opportunity for Everton there? And do you think he made the right decision to square it? Or do you think he should be taking the chance on?
The fact of the matter is, United, who hadn't, the positioning wasn't good from
diabolical.
No, I'm talking about generally in the game that, as these nerves.
Yeah.
But you then they're thinking we need to try and go and win this game 1-1. It's not enough. We've come into this to win. We need to win. So straight away, you've got the United players are nervous. The crowd's getting very, very anguished, and the atmosphere's, what it was. So there was going to be space to begin with. You then add in the fact that they were at 6s and 7s on and off the United defence and the whole
Too eager
team,
to score.
really. And very simply put, it's easy to say in hindsight that he should have taken the shot. 9 times out of 10, he would have put it into the back of the net. But what he thought in that moment is, I've got a teammate there. It's split second. It's so easy for us to say he was clearly offside and he should have seen he was offside. And therefore, the only option he had was
Passes the ball
put
forward.
your foot through that ball, put it into the back of the net, passed it forward. Look, as supporters, we'll always say very bad decision, and it was. But don't take away the fact that the lad was in that moment thinking, I've got a teammate in a better position. If I put it into him, there's no doubt it's going to go in the back of the net because he's got the goal to aim at.
Yerry Mina perhaps should hold his run a little bit, but you as an Everton fan, you just expect Tom Davies put your foot through it. The goal looks huge. The keeper's static. He's ready to be sat down. Anything on target and it's going in. But it's probably Everton's least confident player and a homegrown player who's not really kicked on from a 17-year-old. You've seen it with the likes of Wes Brown. They're the kicking boy, the whipping boys of the side, and it's unfortunate for Tom.
Phil Jones.
Well, he's a Blackburn boy, isn't he? But did you think it was a goal? Can I just ask very quickly before I let you go? Was that a goal in your head at that moment? Because for us, it was pandemonium in the away end.
It was quite interesting because I heard a few shouts of offside from the United fans around me. We couldn't see from where we were. We were on the centre line in the Sir Alex stand, so that was essentially on the other side. And I think the shouts for offside were out of absolute hope. I don't think anyone could really see it. We couldn't see it. There's too many players in the way. And although when you look back on the replay, you can see, it's quite clearly offside. In the moment, you don't necessarily know. And please bear in mind, a couple of years ago, before VAR, there were so many decisions that the linesman got wrong, and that's why VAR is there. So on this occasion, relief for United.
It was right decision. Of course.
I don't, because the linesman hadn't put his flag up, had he?
No,
so it was only VAR. It wasn't the referee that had disallowed it. But interestingly, the Everton fans are going mental, as you would expect to see. And I thought to myself, they're right in front of it. They've got no obstructive view. They've got no players in the way. They're celebrating
terrible,
like it's on, and that it was that reaction at the moment where I thought, shit, they've gone and won this. And I didn't think it was offside as a result of it, because I think if the Everton fans could have seen it. How do you celebrate a goal these days with VAR compared to historically? Historically, the ref or the linesman would have chalked it off in seconds. VAR, although it's got faster, it's still you're waiting 30 agonising seconds. And a United fan as I was, and the relief I had, I also felt for Everton because I thought that the win would have been deserved, and I thought that.
Funny.
How often do you win at Old Trafford? The fact of the matter is, here you are in the 88th minute and you've won the game. That's football. United.
It was the most Everton. It was the most Everton thing to happen and the most un-Everton thing to happen in the space of a few moments. Scoring a goal and then having it chalked off right at the end at Old Trafford. And they've been hunting for a win there for a few years, and they've been a couple of opportunities where they should have won, and then there's been games where United have been in total dominance. But in that away end, it was kind of like a slow motion celebration where kind of looking and celebrating and going, we're really going mental here, and everyone's hugging and we're looking over.
What VAR going to think, because it's not just that; it's any decision, anything in football. It could have hit a hand as you're taking a shot. It could have, there could have been a foul in the build-up that you didn't see, or you wouldn't have thought. This is the difference.
It's horrible.
There's
but in fairness,
goal that you can truly celebrate. You can't. So you have these weird celebrations. The final thing I'll say just before my battery does go off and you cut me off the broadcast is I thought Everton played very well. What I think Rafa has done very quickly is he's brought a more disciplined style to the team. I think is said, if you're not committed to the club and the cause, off you go. I'll bring players in.
Yeah.
not spent a lot of money, but he has brought players in who maybe haven't excelled elsewhere, but they're still good footballers. And I think that's why, those summer signings have started very well. It'll be interesting to see what happens, because here you were this time last year, you'd had a phenomenal start and were sat top. Will that, 7 games in is very, very early days. So is the top 4 that's to be expected going to be in the top 4, or will Everton challenge? And as it now says, your computer is running low, your battery is running low.
That's you off.
Thank you for having me on.
Good, thanks for coming on.
And thanks to all the watchers.
Well, I hope some people watch us back. I mean, this
have a very good season.
We'll see you at Goodison Park, and hopefully if you're watching this back, you'll have been seeing this on YouTube, because it couldn't go live on Facebook, and we know a lot of people watch on Facebook. We're sorry about that. There is issues with Facebook and WhatsApp at the moment.
Zuckerberg sorted
been watching it. Yeah. Well, hopefully you're watching this back on YouTube and you've enjoyed having Brett on. In fairness, Brett, that goal, I did look at the linesman before. I had a 5-second pause, saw the Everton player celebrating, looking around me, slightly confused as to how United left so much space, how that actually happened. Yeah. And I waited, the flag was down, and then I started jumping mad, and then it was ruled out. So you're right with that. I think your VAR summary is spot on. It is a farce. It ruins football in a way. But the right thing happened. And
it makes it better in another way.
Talk about fairness, though.
It makes it better in another way.
It's hard to talk about fairness. You're talking about that. That's a clear black and white decision. Look at James Milner's tackle on the Man City play yesterday, the second yellow. That's cheating. That's no different from being wrong or right than it was for Everton's goal to be disallowed. And things like that can decide a title. And on that bombshell, Brett, thank you very much for coming on. I know it's gone on more than the 15 minutes we said, but next time
could go on 15 hours.
We know we need to budget a little bit more.
The answers I've been given.
Yeah, I think it was good though. Thanks for coming on, Brett. See you later. Take care.
Take care.
Bye
Cheers.
now.